Okay, fantastic. We are live on another episode of the Insurtech Leadership Podcast. I'm pleased today to be here with Danil Kolesnikov. He is founding engineer at Shepherd, first hire for the company. And Shepherd is one of the fastest growing insurtechs, redefining how risk and insurance are managed in construction, as I think we'll get into some other areas as well. And so, welcome, Danil.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we were just
my name, no prep there.
Yeah, well, we work with people all over the world, so I had a chance to take a decent guess at it. But yeah, no, excited to have you on, and maybe we can just start with what is Shepherd. I did have one of your former colleagues on a few years ago, and so I'm sure we'll get to some updates. But maybe for those who don't know, you could just bring us up to speed on what Shepherd does.
Totally, yeah. Shepherd is a construction-focused MGA. We insure general liability, auto liability, workers' comp, both in the excess and primary markets. But most importantly, like this year, we've expanded into property with builder's risk. So think of us as an all-inclusive construction commercial insurance MGA. One of the really cool things we do is we've partnered with third-party tech providers, think like Procore, OpenSpace, all the different tech tools on the site, and we partner with them to bring better premium, better coverage for contractors that use them. Like inherently at Shepherd, we believe that companies that use technology to power their operations at the site, they're inherently a better risk.
Got it. Yeah, no, that's interesting. So maybe we can just back up a little bit. So you joined the company as the first hire. So what what drew you in, at such an early stage, and what convinced you to take the leap?
Yeah, Josh, that's a good question. I've been reminiscing on that past few months as we're scaling into other insurance offerings. I would say like two big parts. Number one is, I'll give you the cheesy answer first. Like people. Justin has been like an incredible CEO and leader for the company, and I saw that in him. I saw the hunger, the hyena in him early on. Like Mo, my boss, the CTO, has been an incredible technical leader. Has helped me really grow as a founding engineer at Shepherd. And Steve Bonpani early on, of course, a fantastic insurance mind that helped us unlock many doors that we didn't even know about. I would say the other answer is data. In my previous background, in my background in the previous role at Fanatics, I worked on experimentation frameworks, and I saw firsthand how using data you can make a lot more money and create a much more effective product. And seeing an approach similar to that, but in a different industry, it made a lot of sense to me.
So you touched on this a little bit already, but maybe we could dig in a little bit more. Oftentimes I'm talking to a founder or CEO who comes more from the business side, not the technical side, and ask, how do you select your first hire? Or how do you select your first your first technical co-founder? And so maybe you could elaborate from your perspective the other way. How do you evaluate? Was it a gut feel, or did you have a systematic way of trying to evaluate the business model or the potential business model and the people on the business side you might be working with?
Yeah, Josh, that's a very good question. I think early on, the reality is you don't know a lot. You don't have a lot of data to use to make a quantitative decision. So you have to go off based off vibes. You have to go based off people. I like to say, like early on, the only thing that is constant is people. It's very hard to change the early team, and the early team will shape the next team. The next team will shape the latter team. I would say at the earliest stages, the most important thing is asking the question, am I going to be excited to work with these people until like 11, 11 at night, 2 in the morning? Am I going to be excited to be with them in the trenches? Like I said, like grinding and binding at Shepherd. And if the answer is no, I think you should look for a next opportunity. But if the answer is yes, definitely go for it. Early on, just go off guts.
And so what were some of the early engineering challenges you faced, and kind of how has that evolved? And maybe you can, we can eventually talk about some of the things you're working on today.
Yeah, Josh, one of the biggest challenge and a technical decision that we had to make early on at Shepherd is whether to buy a PIS, a policy admin system, or build our own in-house. Like Shepherd is not just an insurance company; we're a tech company at heart. We have a lot of like half of our team, more than half of our team now is engineering and design and product. And we've taken a look at the entire market. We looked at all the names of the PISs out there, and we frankly were unsatisfied. We weren't sure like why like they're charging like maybe like 2-3% of the entire premium book for something that we can build in house. And we've done that. We decided to build in house. It was definitely like looking back a correct decision. At the same time, it came with a big cost of just a lot of work. But now we're seeing the flywheel of our internal underwriting and servicing platform play out really well. It makes it all easier for us now to launch net new insurance offerings a lot quicker.
And was that because of the certain unique elements of writing construction business, or was that something else that
Josh, you're right. No, you're right. You're spot on. You're actually spot on here, because one of the interesting things with Shepherd is we are not in the business of winner takes all. We are in the business of winner takes best. Like, we don't want to insure every single construction company in the world, right? We want to insure the best. We want to find the best. We want to insure the best. We want to service the best. And with that in mind, our risk construction is very complex. It's very hazardous. And that's where building a bespoke underwriting insurance platform for our incredible underwriting team is really, really important, and has allowed us to have that flexibility. If we have gone with any like PIS off the shelf, we would have to deal with all the different constraints that they had to build in order to satisfy the entire market.
Yeah. And so going beyond just the PIS, how did you think about sort of building for today versus planning for tomorrow, or having the flexibility? Like you mentioned, some of the new areas you're going into, if you build a very niche solution, you could potentially have something that's great in the short run, but then you have to re-engineer later on. And maybe if the business is going well, you have the cash flow and the other things to do that. But like, what sort of horizons did you guys think about when you were first making some of these tech decisions?
Certainly, yeah. And I would say that constraint applies to all startups. But for us in particular, early on, we didn't know everything. As a tech company, we had hired a bunch of engineers like myself who didn't have insurance experience before, which I would say is both a blessing but also a curse. We didn't know much about how insurance operates, like what is a line of business, what is a product, what are all these different insurance concepts. And we have just taken on more tech debt in order to move fast, which now looking back, I think was the right decision. Like, as a startup, you don't have the luxury of time, and you don't have the luxury of knowing where you will be like 6 years from now, 4 years from now. But as an engineering team, you can still build things in a manner that allows you to move fast and unlock the business, unlock the next insurance product, while preserving the flexibility for future refactors and improvements to the system. Overall, like, if someone is starting an insurance company or now, like an insurance and MGA, I would say it's okay to take on tech debt early on to move fast and get to market. Once you have the privilege of being like a Series B, Series C startup, you can hire more engineers. They can go and fix it.
Yeah. So you mentioned, that the company really thinks of itself as a tech company, and your connectivity with other tech solutions in the construction space, or maybe more broadly in the insurance industry. But I know one of the challenges with data is always data quality, and how do you handle that to take advantage of the data sources you have? Choose the partners you're going to work with, and then actually use the data in a meaningful way.
Yeah, you bring up a good concern, Josh. I would say first and foremost, it comes with, like we saw it with people early on. What I mean by that is hiring the right people at Shepherd and structuring our departments in a way that will set us up as an organization for success. What does this mean? This means that our actuaries, they know how to code. They know how to use Python, know how to use data pipelines. Like our actuaries are, in effect, are data scientists. They are data science analysts. They're proficient with code. And that unlocks a big opportunity for both engineering and actuarial departments to work in tandem to figure out data challenges. Because in insurance, like in insurtech space, a big challenge is for engineers and data scientists who don't have insurance background to figure out, what is this field in a claim? What is this BI, UMI field actually mean in this loss run? Why is it field spelled differently on a loss run from a different carrier? All this different domain-specific knowledge is very important to know and get it right. Because again, in insurance, accuracy is really important. We want to make sure that we're parsing loss runs in a proper way. The other angle that we have worked through and achieved great success in was parsing loss runs earlier on in the journey of Shepherd and building the right infrastructure to extract all different claim data that we're seeing from all the different submissions that are coming into Shepherd. The earlier anyone in insurance will invest into parsing their submissions, the faster they will be able to get to a place where they can make data-driven decisions around a particular submission, claim, loss run.
So besides a couple of things you mentioned, like an ability to write code, were there other things that, as the organization was growing and you looked at whether it was actuaries or people on the sales or business development side, were there other qualities you looked for in order to find people who would be successful in a company that views itself as a tech company first, maybe, versus an insurance company, MGA first?
Yeah, we have this really awesome core value of the company called cross the aisle. That's my favorite core value. I know I said we're tech company first. A big thing that I screen for when I interview candidates at Shepherd, whether it's cross-functional underwriting side or servicing side or our engineers in particular, I want to make sure that folks are able to cross the aisle and work well cross-functionally together with stakeholders. But it's not like us versus them. It is we're all in the same boat, rowing together in the same direction, and building that empathy early on in any tech-enabled startup is very critical. One approach that we have used since the beginning of Shepherd is being in person, like Monday through Friday. It was very controversial back in the day, as COVID kind of came to a close and offices started opening up, but you still had to wear a mask in an office.
Yeah.
So we still went Monday through Friday, even though remote work was all the trend. And looking back, I think that was one of the most important decision that Justin and Mo have made, because it had created the empathy. It had created the initial empathy between me and Steve and Costas, our head of underwriting, it had given me and other engineers in the team empathy and understanding for insurance that has propelled the company forward.
Was there another big lesson or lessons that you've taken away about hiring in a startup environment? Particular things that have worked well and others that haven't?
Yeah, I would say the other big lesson, Josh, is most people in the market are not suited to work at startups because they don't deal well with ambiguity. At a startup, you want to be directionally right. I think it's very hard, maybe even impossible to be like precisely right. So imagine if you are cruising a ship by yourself, a boat towards Australia. You can't know exactly where you're going and exact coordinates, but as long as directionally you're correct and going towards Australia, you will be good. You will be correct. Again, most folks don't deal well with ambiguity, and that's something that I screen all for.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that is a big one. The ambiguity, the kind of mental agility to react to feedback from the market.
Like the other, like the reality of startup is, like for the first 2 months, you think you know what you're doing, you think you know like exactly like where you're going, but then in like month 2.5, you realize from feedback from customers, oh, actually we need to pivot the ship altogether, and this thing is not working out. What we built as a vitamin, not a painkiller, and you just have to be like very selfless and just readjust and pivot the ship towards the right direction. And you can't be counting your losses there.
Yeah. So to your point, every fast growth tech company, Insurtech, hits different inflection points. So would you say the company's at an inflection point now? Is it in between inflection points? Where's the company today?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Josh. We're definitely at a massive, like Shepherd right now is at a massive inflection point where we have gone like from 0 to 1. We have a very strong, growing, sustainable book of business that we're now scaling with additional insurance products, and we're scaling the team appropriately. Like going back to 2021 when I joined the first hire with Justin, Mo, and Steve. Like now we're like close to 60 people. I'm like starting to lose folks' names.
Yeah.
But now we're at a point where now we're at a point where techniques and practices that used to work at 0 to 1 no longer work, and we have to mature. Like now we're in the big leagues. Like now we're in the NFL. Like we're in the playoffs. We're getting to a Super Bowl. We're no longer in high school.
And are there things that you personally have to work on in order to support that?
Of course, yeah. I think as any leader, like a young and up and coming leader, I think the big thing that I'm personally working on is consistency, like consistency of execution across all points. That's something that our CEO Justin does so incredibly well. Like I can rely on him being in the office at like 7:15 in the morning every single day. I'm definitely not there yet, but slowly working on that.
Has there been a particular defining moment in your leadership journey? Something that's helped you, shape or has shaped how you think about your leadership goals and how you have impact on the organization?
I can't think of any particular like one point. Rather, the big lesson in leadership I have is surround yourself. Like if you want to become a leader, you can't learn that by reading books. You can't learn that by listening to the amazing podcasts, out there. You can only learn that by first being around great leaders and seeing how they handle tough and complicated situations, how they react, how they carry themselves, how they communicate, like learning by osmosis. That is really helpful and really important. And last but not least, you learn leadership by actually doing it. And you don't need to have a leadership title of like founding engineer or engineer manager or some other fancy title in order to lead. You can be an individual contributor, and leadership is simply like when you see a problem, you go and you go and figure out a solution. Go talk to a customer, go across the aisle and figure out why this premium is not coming through for this particular deal. Don't ask for permission, but ask for forgiveness.
So I think I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about the two big letters everybody asks about these days, which is AI. And I'm curious, particularly as part of an organization that made the decision to build proprietary tech, and assuming that's something you plan to continue to do, will this change the way you build technology going forward? Are you already using it today? Are you testing it? Like, what's your perspective on AI and its role going forward?
Josh, AI has certainly changed the way Shepherd operates, and it certainly should be changing how insurance operates over the next 5-10 years. One big thing that Shepherd has implemented really well is simply a mindset of using AI every day. Even though we have built our proprietary underwriting platform and we're adding really awesome AI functionality there, it's not a replacement for an underwriting team, a servicing team, any other ops team at an insurance company to figure out and use AI in their day-to-day workflows. I would say the big advice I have for all insurance leaders out there is to enable them with a mindset that they can use AI to do their work better and more effectively, and provide them with tools to reduce friction to use that. If you are worried about data privacy and all that important stuff, go and solve that challenge for them. Don't have them don't have them try to obsess and worry that they'll get fired if they use ChatGPT. It's
right.
By the guidance.
And do you have a particular point of view on where AI has delivered meaningful value in insurance in particular, and maybe where it's more hype or not fully baked yet?
Yeah, I would say on the hype part, I'm still yet to see AI fully replace OCR or optical character recognition technology for parsing loss runs, for example. Loss run is a very good example in insurance where you really care about accuracy. You want to be 100% accurate. You don't want to be 98% accurate. You don't want to be 99% accurate. You want to be 100% accurate. And that's where OCR really shines. I would say the area where I see AI do really well is generative use case, where you want to generate this, let's say maybe a referral document or some other document that you need to do in order to go through your bureaucracy to bind the deal. I think that is a really helpful use case. However, it should not be a replacement for your own underwriting judgment.
Do you have a perspective on what the org chart will look like in the future in terms of the combination of humans and agents? And it sounds like the approach for you guys has been more sort of the enabling employees to sort of have superpowers. I guess people have used that analogy. But there's obviously more and more agents, either sort of generic agents or verticalized, specialized agents that are being rolled out, and some of those are going to fill boxes on the org chart or already are. Do you have a perspective on that within insurance in particular?
My outdated prediction for you, Josh, is a lot of the mid-market underwriters will disappear. It will all be handled by AI. Any deal that is premium under 30K, 40K, any 5-digit premium will be underwritten by AI. And I would go as far as to say AI will actually replace the underwriter end to end. The AI will make the calls. The broker will call the AI, and they'll be comfortable with that, and there'll be a paradigm shift. Similar to how with Airbnb, you had a paradigm shift where it was okay to stay at a stranger's house. However, I don't think AI will be a replacement for a high-touch human relationship. When you're paying 6, 7, 8 figures for a premium, you do want to have a real human to call if anything is wrong. Because Nothing beats a human at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think there's a similar analogy of, in the finance department, people have authorization to sign off on checks up to $100, $1,000, whatever it is, and anything over that's got to get approvals, right? So I think that's a similar analogy in a way.
Yeah, Josh, like one interesting talk that is happening in AI circles is if an LLM, if an AI can pass and get certified to be a doctor or maybe a psychiatrist, a therapist, if they can have a certification, well, why can't they do the job if they can be certified?
Yeah.
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 That's what it's coming to underwriting,
Yeah,
but doesn't replace the human touch.
Yeah, I think part of it is the same reason why, the data shows that we're all a lot safer flying in an airplane than driving our car every day, but yet there's a lot more fear around being 30,000 feet up versus, driving on the ground at 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, whatever it is. Sort of the catastrophic potential versus the more frequent accident likelihood. So, anything more you want to share, kind of on either from the tech point of view or the insurance product point of view? Anything more you want to share on the product roadmap?
So I'll give a shout out to a product that we have launched this year, Josh. So Shepherd had, to give a bit of history, we've initially launched with an access capacity into the market and then launched primary. So we've always focused on casualty and liability side of things. But this year, we have expanded fully into property with our builder's risk offering. Something that is working really well right now at Shepherd is like being able to bundle both casualty and property into one package, one bundle that a broker can present to the client. Kind of an all-inclusive experience from Shepherd there, end to end, and the broker, frankly, can just work with a single underwriter. They don't have to go to different emails to in multiple different threads. Yeah.
Great. Anything else you'd like to share, Danil, before we wrap up today?
No, I think this was great, Josh. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Well, Danil Kolesnikov, founding engineer of Shepherd, thanks so much for joining me on the Insurtech Leadership Podcast.
Josh, thank you.